Hi, I'm Drew. Welcome to the Beggars Woodshop. We're continuing our Shopsmith Sawdust Collection system videos, and this is the first video where, well, I'm not building anything. And the reason, well, has already been made obvious. Now, as you can tell by title and thumbnail, this is actually for the disc sander, our good friend the disc sander. You all see it, you all know it, but some of you may not have this exact disc sander. You must say, Drew, of course I do. A disc sander is a disc sander, and no. This is my original 1954 Greenie. You can see right there on my right the neck that goes from the main disc to where it attaches to the spindle, or the headstock, I should say. I like to use lathe terms. Now, this is the modern one, found on 510, 520, and so on. You see the extended length? You think that's not a problem, right? Well, this is the saw guard dust collection port that comes with the more modern machine. Here's our problem. I don't know how well it's coming up on camera, but that piece doesn't get very far. If I put it in the other one, you can see how far it goes. Pretty far. It's a lot there. So, you can't use the modern dust collector saw guard on the machine with the older sanding disc. Well, there were saw guards and things sold in later models, but the more modern one from the 505, 510, 520 and so on is actually much better. In fact, you're collecting more dust. But if you still have one of these old ones, like I do, although I never really use it anymore now that I've got the more modern ones, this is for you. Now, keep in mind again, I'm not making this. I've got it. But for you classic collectors who like to use the old stuff, this is for you. So, let's have a look at this plan. Okay, first let's start by making a couple of sides. These pieces come out to 7 inches by 13 and 15/16 inches. These are also half an inch thick. One thing I did differently here on the sides is I actually didn't add a slight S-curve. And I did that on purpose. 1, for time, for modeling. 2, a lack of exact plan. But 3, I think this is probably a little bit better for the flow of the spinning wheel. You may have to make your own adjustments. Down there at the bottom, there is a 1 7/8 inch diameter hole. Well, 2 of them. These are going to go over the weigh tubes. What's not shown in the plan I was working off of, which comes from an issue of Hands-On magazine that Shopsmith used to put out, is actually a slot so you can attach it, the sanding disc that is, to the headstock. So make sure you accommodate for that. My plan was only a small preview, so I'm working with what I have. And remember, you're only putting that in one of those sides, not both of them. Okay, now here's the back. This piece is 3 3/4 by 7 5/16. It is 5/16 inch thick. And in fact, 5/16 thickness is going to be the thickness for the rest of the pieces. You also need to drill a 2 1/4 inch diameter hole to accommodate for your dust collection system. Now, you can get it exact center, left to right, but up and down, well, you're going to have to best judge that. You can't go too low, but you got to go high enough. The bottom is comprised of 2 pieces. Both pieces are 3 3/4 inch, but one piece is 3 3/4 by 2.5, and the other is 3 3/4 by 5. The 3 3/4, as you can tell, attaches to the sides. Finally, there's a piece at the end here. That's actually a piece of aluminum flashing that is 3 3/4 by 8 inches. And the plans also have letters that look like they say LG. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but that could be referring to the flashing. Well, there it is. Nice and set up again. I'm not building this, and yes, there are probably a few little tweaks and improvements that could be made to this thing. Right down to a way to maybe clamp the whole thing to the way tubes. In fact, there are instructions in several books put out for Shopsmith that say, hey, here's a way to clamp something together and not overdo it, all using wood. Now, again, I'm still on the hunt for all of the plans for the Shopsmith Sawdust collection system. And this, well, this is my limitation. But hopefully, if you're out there and you can give me a hand, leave a comment down below. And in the meantime, hopefully I will see you next time, right here on the Beggars Woodshop.